First thing you're going to do to start shading the hand is lightly erase all of your lines. This is because unlike contour line, shading has everything to do with shifts in value. So we don't want harsh lines, we just want really soft transitions of grays. Then you want to find out what your darkest values are. Squint your eyes and notice what are the darkest areas. Begin with those. I like to begin by adding in my darkest values to establish a full contrast range. I have my lightest area, which is the light of the paper, or the white of the paper, and then I start with my darkest values just to establish that contrast. Next thing that you want to do is start really lightly adding gray, or toning the hands basically, adding in those skin tones. Really important that you are holding your pencil correctly. Use a 2B, 4B, or 6B pencil. Hold the pencil far back so that you are barely putting any pressure, and really lightly just shade slowly, building up the value. If you go in too hard or you're not using the side of your pencil, it's going to look harsh and unrealistic. So the softer and slower you go, the better. As you are shading, think of the shadows as shapes. What shape is this shadow on the thumb? What shape is the highlight on the thumb? Shading in with your pencil the darker values and then using an eraser, the white eraser for more clear highlights or the gray eraser for just taking away a little bit of graphite. Going back and forth, push and pull, and then you'll slowly start to see the hand emerge. It's also really important that as you're shading, you're thinking about the background. If you have a white edge, such as on my thumb, where there's a highlight on the edge, you can't really show the highlight unless you are shading what's behind the thumb. So adding in the background is also really important to get a more naturalistic look. If you're having a hard time seeing the values, you can do one of two things. The first thing you can do is continue to squint. I really find that when I squint, I can see the values a lot more clearly. The second thing that you can do is actually increase the contrast in photos. So by increasing the contrast, you'll have brighter whites and darker shadows, and that can just kind of help you see things a bit more clearly. A note about details like the nails, the creases, less is definitely more. For the creases, really lightly mark them in. Don't put in a super hard line. And for the nails too, really think about it in terms of shading instead of adding lines, and it'll be a lot more natural. The last thing I'll say is that you never really stop correcting your drawing. And this is just a good lesson for when we continue into figure drawing, when we continue into painting, that as you are working on your piece, as you are shading, if you're seeing things that are coming up that are incorrect or can be improved, this is still a good time to do that. It's always valid to change your drawing along the way to make it more accurate. So don't be afraid to get in there with the eraser and make modifications. Obviously, you're watching this sped up so that you don't have to sit here and watch me shade the whole thing. But for reference, to get to this point, I've been shading for about 16 minutes. So just wanted to really emphasize that slow and steady and smooth is really the way to go here. It takes a lot of time, but the result is going to be worth it.